Beverley, McGarvey, we just finished the 10 Upfronts. Good response from the crowd so far, from the industry. This year for 10, what was it about 10 in your programming slate that allowed you to deliver some ratings growth that the others couldn't do this year? What do you put that down to?
I think we had a range of things happening at the same time. First of all, we had returning series that had audience growth potential in them, and they achieved that growth. So shows like MasterChef grew. I think also our early evening schedule improved, so Family Feud did really well and The Project increased its audience. So we had returning successful shows, we had a good early evening slate, and we also introduced new content that also worked really well. So I'm a Celebrity worked well, Shark Tank, Spelling Bee, all of those shows improved their time slots. So just when you take all of those things into consideration, and the combined factor of all of that meant that we had audience growth across the whole year.
You've been talking about that for a couple of years. It did happen this year. What was the difference?
I think a number of things. I think we had the schedule. We had the schedule in the right place, and a lot of it's to do with execution of the domestic content. So I'm a Celebrity was in the right slot at the right time of the year, and it was well made. We had the right celebrities, it targeted the right audience, it resonated with a family audience, and also we did things a little bit differently than the others. So we had alternative content. There was a lot of cooking and a lot of renovation. Of course, we have MasterChef, which is fantastic, but there's a lot of cooking and renovation on the other channels as well. And when they had their cooking and renovation, we had something different, which is obviously an advantage.
Talk to us about domestic production, local shows versus the offshore formats. How do you see that going this year in terms of the audience demand for local versus international? What's going on there in terms trend-wise?
I think there's obviously, people in Australia have always wanted to watch Australian shows. They want to see themselves reflected on screen, and that will continue to be really successful and really important for all of us. But the international shows do have a part. We all program at least 3 channels. We program a long time every day. So I think in those early evening slots that you will continue to see lots of domestic content in a range of genres, and you'll see Australian drama at 7:30 and at 8:30 particularly. But I think in the 9:30 slots and on the multi-channels you'll continue to see US content, and the US content does have a place and it does do well.
Last year, this year, next year, in terms of genres and demand, is there anything of note?
I think you'll continue to see constructed reality because it's a way of telling stories that really appeals to Australian viewers. I think what you will see is an evolution in the worlds that those constructed reality shows exist in. So we've seen, the cooking and the renovation. We've introduced, for example, Spelling Bee and Shark Tank, which are to a degree constructed reality shows, but they take our audiences into different worlds, and I think that will continue. I don't think the constructed reality will go away, but it will evolve. I think in the drama space, what works for us tends to be the romantic comedy and the inspirational and aspirational series, and that will continue to happen. And also the event series. In the event series, in the shorter runs, people tend to do different things and tend to do more genre pieces, and I think you'll see more of that. So across the board, the TV landscape doesn't change quickly. It tends to move forward and evolve, and you look back and think, well, over the last 5 years this happened. So I think we're moving forward in the cycle, but if in 1 year the cycle doesn't shift completely.
Finally, as a programmer, thinking about different channels, distribution, and what's happening with how people are consuming, catch up and so forth, does it change the way you think about the sorts of shows you want to commission, create and run, or is it simply a broadcast approach to everything?
What it does do is make us think about how we can extend our brands and build the brands and extend beyond the broadcast. So for example, with Celebrity, we have I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here now on 11. It'll be streamed live on 10 Play. There'll be additional content on 10 Play. So I think what it makes you do is take a core idea and make it as big as possible and tell as many bits of the story as you can. But I think in terms of the core commissioning, we want brilliant shows that people want to watch, and whatever platform that tends to be delivered on kind of doesn't matter. We want our viewers to engage with our shows however they choose. We want to make sure they have the opportunity to engage with them however they choose, but as long as the show's great, people won't mind what platform they watch it on. They're not going to watch a bad show on any screen.
Survivor's the big one, and how did you get to that conclusion and go, let's run with that? What was going through, what was in the build-up to making that call?
Well, I think we love Survivor. People who work in TV and our audiences all love Survivor. It's one of the best on-made formats in Australia, and a show that's had 31 seasons on CBS. It's on in over 50 countries. That is probably the grandfather of reality TV. When you're looking for new shows and you realise that there's a big hit show all over the world and it's not on Australia, you really have to give it due consideration. So we've been looking at it for quite some time. It wasn't an overnight decision, but we think Survivor will really resonate with Australian audiences. And like we talked about, about it is that in that constructed reality space, but it's a different world, and it's kind of the purest version of a reality show. It really is last man standing, and you have to use your brains and your brawn and whatever you've got to get through, and we think that will really give us great stories and introduce us to great characters. And Australians love Survivor. The brand's really popular here, so the fact that it hasn't been on air for 14 years is kind of amazing, and we're really excited about it. So that's kind of our thing we're most excited about.